Yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Grijalva. Mr. Young, do you have questions?
This is for the Park Service. What regulations are you talking about, and are these new regulations?
No, these are the regulations that whenever we permit a special use, so we have our special use permit regulations, and they're in the CFR. So anytime we permit an activity on the mall or anywhere across the country, and we do thousands of these, so and so they're just, I mean, they're the regulations that have been passed, and so there's it's nothing new. It's nothing that's been created.
This is what I'm leading up to. This partnership has been going on for how many years? 18 years?
Correct.
So what different regulations there that you're trying to implement now that the partnership doesn't work?
I don't think the regulations have changed. I think it's
Then why did it work for 18 years?
I think over the last 3 or 4 years, the size, the scale, and the non-relationship of the event to the purposes of the reason for the park was created was the difference. So it's not the regulations, it's the connection to the park.
What I'm looking at, why does this even occur when there was a working relationship benefiting the city and the trust and the Park Service? I mean, what changed that all of a sudden we got some little genius? It wasn't you. At least it better not have been you.
No, it was not me.
Whose brainchild was this? Say, oh, we're gonna change this now, and we're gonna do it because we're the Park Service.
Well, I don't think it was a sudden change. I think that, like I said, over the years, I think that we had permitted activities for a number of years, and then one year the trust came in with a request, and we said that that's not gonna, in our view, it's not gonna sort of meet the standards that we require and the regulations and our policies, and so and we didn't say no at that point in time, and that was our mistake, and it's just sort of ramped up over time, and finally we thought we would try to work behind the scenes, work closely with the trust to try and resolve our differences, and that finally it didn't work, and so finally this past year we sort of held the line and says, we're going to have to deny this activity if you don't scale it back to where we think it is, and that's where sort of the negotiations broke down.
Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, thank you very much. The regulations haven't changed, but in fact, events have occurred for the Independence Day commemoration is in its 50th year. As far as the relevance to the site, all of the well, not all, but most of the major churches in the community originated on that site. The Episcopal Church, the Catholic Church with Mother Joseph, and the Protestant churches. So our feeling was that since the churches originated on the site, it made sense for an all-church picnic to occur there. The military has been on the site since 1849 until this last round of BRAC closures, and they left in this last fall. So having a USO benefit concert or a concert, Night of the Patriot, to really assist Iraq and Afghan veterans and their families also seemed appropriate. So that's where we are puzzled by the issue of relevance and scale. As was already mentioned, Independence Day is over 35,000 people. The Park Service permitted the NAIA National Cross Country Championship, which has hundreds of participants and is certainly a very large and impactful event.
And then you'd say this decision was made arbitrarily by the Park Service because the city supports it, the churches support it, the veterans support it, the people support it. The only people who object to this is the Park Service. And again, I think the whole Park Service has to be looked at by this committee, Mr. Chairman, and the attitude. This is for people, not the Park Service. I mean, if you got a regulation that doesn't meet the wishes of the people, who in the hell are you? That's the thing. I don't understand where this arrogance comes from. I comment on it. Where does it come from?
Could I make a clarification? So we had actually agreed to permit the church function this year. That wasn't the issue. It was the other sort of, again, and this was really the scale thing. There were jumbotrons. There was going to be a band. There was going to be a stage with bands and things, and so the. So
what's wrong with that? This is for the people. How does that demean the park?
Well, you've got the historic, you've got the area around the Pearson Museum, but then you have Fort Vancouver over here, and not everybody is here on the site, but you have other people over at Fort Vancouver trying to understand why, the significance of Fort Vancouver and its importance and stuff, and so the influence of this event on the rest of the park.
Oh, but wait a minute. The rest of the park, how
All
does
right.
that? No, wait a minute. I want to finish it. Just a second. How does that affect?
You got 5. Go for it.
Okay, thank you. How does it affect
If
the
you don't
park?
ask a question, I will. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Go
How
ahead.
does it affect the park? What is the damage to the park?
It's the damage to the, well, there is potentially, and I won't say there is, but there is some resource damage in terms of the setting up and the taking down, all that stuff. And I don't know how extensive that is, but it's not so much to the park, it's to the visitor experience. So the visitors that aren't participating in the event, that are participating in other aspects of the park, trying to listen to a ranger activity or something like that, and you've got a concert going on and things like that, it's sort of, you've got two competing interests there.
All right.
And we're not saying.
You got the answer there. Ms. Hannah.